We got pounded for a good hour and 20 minutes tonight from the same storm. So, go figure. Anyhow,
Yeah, exactly.
on that
Yeah,
note,
okay, yep.
we got so much, but before we even get into it, Corey brought up some really cool stuff about another EV manufacturer that is top of the line. They're looking to dominate the upper end of the market, and it was something about their stock price. And he's going to take the floor right now and talk to you a little bit about Lucid.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So this article is talking about Lucid Motors, and actually, so it's a little bit we're a little bit more into the investing, the stock kind of conversation here, which is fine. I know some people want to talk about that too, but basically, this is talking about Lucid Motors. They're in the final stages of going public. They're trying to go into a merger with Churchill Corporation, and then basically that was actually set to be done today, but it looks like they ran into a glitch and it was scheduled for 9 a.m. Eastern Friday. Basically, Churchill extended the deadline because it sounds like some of the people involved didn't get the emails and codes they needed. That might have gone to the spam folder. I don't know. It's kind of funny, but anyway, the point is that if you're having your eyeball on Lucid Motors, it's supposed to happen tomorrow. And if you didn't have your eye on Lucid Motors, you should check them out if you're interested in some of the upcoming EVs. This one actually is pretty nice. We haven't
No.
talked too much about Lucid, but if you check out their designs, they are actually quite interesting. But as Mike mentioned, they're a little bit higher on the price scale than the more affordable Tesla models or some of the other manufacturers. They're going for a little bit less than the higher end. For example, like I think their main model starts at 70,000. Yeah, the Lucid Air, and then their Air Dream Edition, that's all the way up to 162. So that's it's got some dollar signs there. But I mean, again, if you check it out, they're quite fully loaded. They're pretty attractive. They got pretty good range. They got a lot of things you'd like, and yeah, so the look, as far as the product, looks pretty nice. The startup should receive about 4.4 billion in cash from the transaction, so they're actually going to have a lot of stuff to do there. The blank check they're getting from Churchill Corp basically leaves them with around 24 billion, which makes them they're going to dwarf the market cap of other people like Fisker and Canoe. I know we talked a little about Canoe, but if you remember Canoe, them too, and then Arrival. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check them out tomorrow and stay on top of that if you're looking to invest. Their ticker is LCID, so Lima Charlie India Delta. If you're into that,
I started tracking them today.
Language.
I didn't until until you brought this to my attention. I didn't really look at them because I didn't really know that they were really making that big of a push. And then when you shared this article with me, I was like, whoa. All right, so a $24 billion valuation, pretty big, especially for someone who hasn't produced a car. However, like you said, the interest is that they are more upscale. Look, it also, the article says that if you want to look at Tesla, their market valuation's right, $631 billion, right?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah,
you can't touch that.
You can't compare the two at this point. I mean, you can't compare many companies to Tesla at this point, just as far as valuation. And I mean, there's plenty of people out there to tell you that they're overvalued.
Of course.
Too. You know, there's that conversation.
Well, I mean, at least they're no Lordstown, and I say that almost facetiously, but I don't, because if you look at where this company seems to be, it's a different space right now to get into the ultra luxury EV market, and the car is gorgeous. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about the looks of the vehicle. There's some pictures up there on there right now, and it definitely, for the class of vehicle going up against the Mercedes EQS and a couple others, especially the the higher end model Teslas, it's a beautiful car. There's no doubt about it, and quite frankly, yes, getting into the utility truck market or getting into the high-end luxury EV market, I think I'd rather be a player in the high-end luxury EV market right now, because that's going to be, I think, lucrative overall. I think that there's still money to be made there, because there's not a lot of people in that space. And I don't know what your feelings are, because Tesla they've dominated it, but to the same respect, that also leaves, after 5 years of people buying their products, appetites might change, right? So,
yeah, exactly. And we know Tesla, at least on their own end, they had a kind of a full idea of what they wanted to do. Go from the very expensive cars and then use that capital to move down and do the cheaper cars, and then go for just volume. Production out of volume or volume. So, Yeah, I mean, if I kind of with you, man. If I was looking for a car in this price range, the mid 150s, which
No,
is not cheap again, but pretty high up there. If that was something I was looking for, I would be looking at obviously high-end Model S's. I'm not really interested in X. High-end Model S's, and then of course Lucid, because it does look interesting. Um, Another thing you think about in being a car company, I'd always now want to look a bit further in like their support, like because as you mentioned, which is perfectly valid, they haven't delivered them any, a whole lot of stuff. So I've been interested in their charging scheme, their maintenance, how that's going to work. But as far as design and all and the features, it's at the top of the list for me. It's near,
yeah, I
the
mean,
top at least.
and look, not everybody wants to go ludicrous speed, so there's that, or plaid.
That's
And if
true.
you want to
Yeah,
sit and
I
bathe
mean,
yourself in luxury, there's obviously choices in the marketplace that are available to you. Look, we panned Mercedes and their release of their EV car, but for
we
good
did.
reason,
Yeah.
because it didn't look exclusive enough as far as I'm concerned for an offering from a luxury brand maker that should have actually planted
Mhm.
a solid blow up against Tesla right off the bat. Now, this is the difference between Lucid and say Mercedes, is that these guys have nothing to lose because they can enter the market at whatever, the area they want, right? So, if you're
Yep.
Mercedes and you're coming into the EV market, if you're a Porsche and they came in with Taycan Turbo, okay, if you're coming in, you've got a lot to hold up to your reputation if you're already normally aspirated or turbocharged or, other luxury vehicles. At least my idea there. So, hey, what's going on, David, by the way? David just chimed in there.
Hey, hello, David. Yep.
So,
Welcome.
you guys are going to be 100,000 no time. I hope. Hey,
Oh man, David, I hope so. That
maybe with
sounds
your help.
amazing. I mean, as excited as you
Yeah.
are for that, we're excited that you would
Mhm.
think that too.
So,
But yeah, I mean, and looking at the Lucid Air again, if you guys aren't really familiar, I mean, their top of the line design is near 1,000
yeah, that's
horsepower,
quick.
so
No.
it's not going to be slow. Um, but I mean, there's a whole lot more that goes into a car, of course, than
Yeah,
horsepower.
yeah,
But
of
you guys know
course.
that already. But anyway, there you go. So keep track of that stock price tomorrow because it'll be
I wonder
freshly
what they're going
minted,
to do.
and you
I
can
wonder
check
how
it
I
out.
wonder how it's going to do.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out tomorrow. I don't
Interesting,
know.
interesting. Hey, and remember to check us out, like,
I do.
subscribe, follow, and any chance you get it, just go ahead and tap that bell so you get notifications turned on about the next time we go live. Also, if you guys notice on the actual screen, which is going to be down there somewhere below Corey, there's a little icon that looks just like our show icon, and that if you roll over that, you should be able to just go over there,
It's
just
gonna be
go
over
ahead and
there.
roll on that and subscribe. So you can be caught up on all the news and the marketplace that we bring you. Hey, because God knows you could get it other places, but we're better. We
We
are.
are better.
Anyhow, all right. We are
We're
not
not
average.
average
We are.
or
No,
whatever.
now we know we have to change the name of the show. Okay. Okay.
Just
Just
better.
better. Just better show. Or just better show.
Just better. Just
So
better
we got another
show.
comment in there from Brad. If you want to take that one there before we move on.
Yeah, it just
Yep.
actually just popped up for me. So anyone know what the battery life is expected to be for one of those luxury cars and cost to replace?
Ooh.
So I mean, one of the things I would say, I don't know much
Mm-hmm.
about Lucid, right? They're still pretty new. I can only really comment on like something like a Model S and an
Right.
earlier version Model S. And some of those things, one of the things you want to think about when you talk about EV car batteries, longevity, is you want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
like degradation. You might hear that term moved around a bit, and that's basically the idea that the more times you charge a battery, depending on chemistry, but the more times you discharge and charge it, the speed at which you charge it and how much voltage is under when it charges and all that depends how much battery
Mm-hmm.
life it's going to lose in the long term. It's better to if you have an EV, it's better to keep the battery like 75% most of the time, unless you need to go on a trip. And then it's better to slow charge the batteries over the life of the battery. But going past that, I know I don't have anything like right in front of me, but I know I've read things about exactly your
Mm.
question in the past, and like things about like Prius batteries or Model S batteries, the 65, the Model S 65, I think. Somebody had one of those and using it as a taxi. And I think, unless I'm mistaken, they were like 6,000 to replace,
That's
or
not
some
bad.
6
I
to
mean,
10,000. So, you
considering.
know, yeah, I mean,
No,
yeah. Go,
that's not
sorry, go
bad.
ahead.
I'm chiming in. It's considering. I don't think that's a bad price. $6,000. I mean, because look, if you could get 70
Yep,
years out of the
yep.
car, right, and $6,000, The offset is you don't have to replace transmissions, you know, right? You don't have that, and electric motors will last a lot longer than your standard, you know, counterpart
Yep.
motors in the internal combustion universe. So that's also true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, just like you said, I didn't see anything that was said they needed to replace
yeah,
motors or, I mean, brakes or something. Depending on how you drive, a lot of these they have regen, so a lot of people are not
right.
replacing their brake pads at all. Um, I mean, I myself, I have hardly any
Yeah,
brake
well, I
dust
can't
in
say
my
the same for
car.
mine.
It never needs to be cleaned.
I cannot say the same.
Um, and well, the last thing maybe I'll say about that for you, Brad, too, is that there's a lot of advancement being made in the battery cells themselves, like the chemistry and how they're manufactured and all that, to really make some inroads into exactly
Right,
your question, like how
right.
long is it going to last? And they're saying some of these basically now the new Tesla batteries, I think they're the 4680
Hmm.
cell design. I think that's it. They're saying you shouldn't need to replace it
Interesting.
as long as you probably own the car, right? I mean, people, if you're going to own it for like 35, 40 years, okay, but if 10, 15 years, 20 years, it'll probably keep 80% of
Nice.
that whole time. Again, depending on how
Right.
you use it
And
and charge
just
it.
one
So,
thing that I
um,
flashed up there where you're
so
talking, Lucid's Airs, their EV battery will be a big, and I think they said 113 kilowatt hours. So yes, that's
really,
pretty
okay,
big.
okay,
So obviously, if the kilowatt hours goes up, I could imagine that the replacement cost of that would actually go up as well. So that's one of the things that I would think about. David has another question about the eVTOL Lilium. Hey, David, we're gonna go into that,
Lilium.
and we'll take that right at the end of this next section, because this next section is pretty big news for us, and maybe we'll break out into a different discussion after that. So just give us 1 second. How's that sound? Are you done with this one, Corey? All right.
I'm done. Yeah. So thanks so much. Again, as we say, please like, share, subscribe. We very much appreciate your support, and be sure also to remember to hit that bell icon down there so
Yeah.
you know when we're live. If you're new to the show, you may obviously notice we'd
Yeah.
like to do live shows and then interact with you guys. And then we also do cut them up later for clips for people that just want to
There you
search
go.
for particular topics. But yeah, part of it is you guys being here with us.